Kindly state your name and your position in the Garifuna community.
My name is Ruben Reyes and I'm the president of Garifuna Nation.
Okay, we're gathered here today in relation to your organization. What would you like to tell us in relation to the Garifuna people as it pertains to the history, the organization in itself, and going forward?
Well, Garifuna is a group, it's an ethnicity that was born to carry power in African people. Therefore, there is a value within the Garifuna culture, which is that being black-skinned, we speak the language of the Carib Arawak native people of America. That entails that we are the children of two continents. We may be the only children of Africa and America together. Why is that important to us? Because we have remained in this continent without going through enslavement. Our mentality, it does not have that normal resentment that other groups have. The only thing we have is knowledge of our history, and we know that we were kicked out of St. Vincent, we were displaced from our motherland. And we are trying to do something about that because we have lost a lot of we lost a lot when we lost our motherland, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which we call Yurume in our language. Mm-hmm. Our ancestors fought the British for many years, and some of them, when they were captured, they jumped over the cliff. They jumped off the cliff. They rather die than to be dominated. But there was a time where we couldn't continue fighting, so they put us in the nearby island of St. Vincent, which is called Belize, and then from there they put us in exile. So that's how in 1797, 2,026 people were put into a small island called Roatan off the coast of Honduras. From then, we made it to mainland Honduras. Eventually, my ancestor moved to Belize, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and now to the United States. Although we've been in the exile for 220 years, we still remain as a nation. We lost our motherland, we lost our nation state, but we did remain as a nation without the land. But now we do have territories because our ancestors were able to place themselves along the coast of Honduras in those three countries that I mentioned. Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, and Guatemala, 4 countries. Now we do have territories, and we are also known indigenous people to those areas because when we arrived there and settled, they were in states. It was just a colony of the Spanish. So when the Honduran state came about, the Garifuna people were already there. So that makes us indigenous twice, because we are considered indigenous because we were born in America, in St. Vincent. But then we are also indigenous to Central America because we were there with our distinguished culture before the States.
So how do you propose to claim that, to reclaim that?
Well, we have performed as such. We kept our language, we have a language, we have a culture, and we have land. We have all the components, and we live our culture. So we just need to be recognized as who we are. And there are some world organizations like United Nations recognize Garifuna people as indigenous people. The Convention 169 also put a lot of, from WTO, puts a lot of power in the hand of Garifuna people, and those are the declarations that we use now to be able to claim the powers, the rights that belong to the indigenous people.
Yeah. You speak of areas like Guatemala, Honduras, and Belize. How do you propose to bring these nations together in Latin America?
Well,
because you have people in all of these countries, and they're scattered all over the place. So, are you going to have a separate? Are you looking forward to a separate state, or you want to converge in one territory?
We're not looking for a separate state. We're not looking for a nation state. Actually, we're bringing our people together. We're connecting our people from Nicaragua, from Guatemala, from Belize, from Honduras together. So we know, because the issues that we have call for us to take action. Otherwise, we're going to disappear 20, 30 years from now if we don't do a thing. So we are coming together because the Garifuna people in Belize are the same people in Honduras. They all came from one place, and they recognize and they acknowledge each other. We all, in some cases, relatives.
How do you propose to promote the language?
The language have to be, it is in use. There is 46 Garifuna communities in Honduras, and about 70% of those still speak the language fluently. Now, in Nicaragua, there are 6 Garifuna communities that don't speak the language anymore. So we're looking at preservation, and restoration. Restoration in some areas that don't speak the language anymore, and preservation so it can be implemented in all the communities. Okay. So I think through in an institutionalized way, we can make sure that the language preserves itself.
From an economic point of view, how do you see the Garifuna people empowering themselves and moving forward as a community of nations?
The best way that we can empower ourselves is to empower ourselves through using the resources that we have. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of territories. We have 46 communities. Each one of these communities have a lot of inhabitants in it, and the territory belongs to us. And these are fertile land. Now, if we produce the land, either for food, or we make it available for tourism, microtourism, that we can participate, we can put a hand on it, then we can be prosperous. And if we implement what we learned from our ancestors, which is entrepreneurship, like the gentleman you see over there selling all kinds of Garifuna products,
right.
This is the way we work. This is the way the Garifuna people are back home. They still sell the product of the land, whatever they can produce. We need to reinforce that, because a lot of people are going to colleges, and then once they come back, they don't want to use the machete and plow the land, right. and make the land produce.
Right.
But if we were to get machinery, modern equipment, then they can change their mind. Then we can go back to make the land produce, and then we can build on our economy. Another way is that there is a lot of remittances going to these countries from the people, from the Garifuna people here. But the remittances are destined to support their relatives in a way that go to the doctor or buy some food, and what that does is that it's creating a dependency. We need to move that, we need to change that. We need to divert the destiny of those remittances in the way that people will invest, use those funds to invest, even if it's a small scale, to the point where they can sustain themselves eventually without having to depend on the remittances. So that can improve our economy if we do it ourselves.
Yeah. What about the social impact, and how do young people gravitate towards the culture of the Garifuna people? And how do you propose for them to grow within that community?
We'll have to bring in some social programs. That's what the Garifuna Nation is aiming for. Because if we stay standing, doing nothing, then the youth is going to get lost. We're losing a lot of them because a lot of them don't want to go to college. Right? Education is important, but not everybody will want to go to college. But if there are some technical education right in the village or close by, then a lot of them won't be just doing nothing, walking around the village. They're gonna go and learn to be a mechanic, carpenters, masonry, and stuff like that. That can change the social status of our people. But the government is not in tune with that. They don't even recognize us, and they don't even do nothing in our village. Everything that is in the Garifuna villages is done by us. We built the building where the school is. We built the community centers. We built the clinic where there is a clinic. Everything that is in our community, we have that kind of autonomy. We have that kind of independence in order for us to be prosperous. But we need to force the government to be able to perform their duties, because we are citizens of first-class citizens too, not third or fourth-class citizens down there.
Right. So now you're talking about empowerment. You're empowering your people and letting them know the resources that they have, their land, their language, their culture, and now it's time to make representation. Is that the message right now?
The message is that it is time of convergence. The Garifuna community have been doing a lot of things sporadically, individually, in separate areas. Whatever is going on in Honduras does not connect with Belize, doesn't connect with Nicaragua, Guatemala. And what is done in my village, it doesn't connect with the next village, with the adjacent village, maybe just a couple of kilometers over. So it is time to converge all that, because we are very resourceful. The movement of the Garifuna nation, the plan is to be able to acknowledge what our nation's been doing, to recognize the power within our people when they do for themselves. And the only thing that can provide that is a centralized way of government for our people. But the government has to be from the people, by the people. The Garifuna people only accept what is theirs. We don't follow. You can start something and tell them this is yours, they're not going to do nothing with it. But if it's something they start, they're going to take it to the end.
You take ownership?
Yes, we take ownership of what we have and what we do.
Well, I wish you all the best. And
thank you.
Let's take ownership and let's see
where we go. We know where we're going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.